Welcome to the Acement, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Ace Aceto.
And thank you for joining us. Thank you for downloading us. Thank you for subscribing. We appreciate it so very much. And if you have a moment, please give us that 5-star written review wherever you download your podcast. It's a great way to help the podcast. If you want to help us out another way, tell a friend. We all learn about podcasts from our friends' recommendations, and that's a way you can help us out by recommending us to a friend.
And the last way, if you really enjoy the show, is to go to our Patreon page and become a patron. And that is at www.patreon.com/behindthefunny. And what that will get you, it's one simple giving level, $5 a month. That will get you a t-shirt or a mug, some sort of merchandise, as well as unlocking bonus content that only our patrons can access.
Thank you so much for supporting us. If you want to reach out, you got a question for us, you got a comment, anything, please send us an email at behindthefunnypod@gmail.com.
And now, enjoy the show.
Be careful. He's
and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end.
Yeah, right.
The podcast, so
that's all right.
Feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
Welcome to the Acement, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Ace Aceto.
How was that this week? Better?
That was great. Thanks for going back to that. I appreciate it.
All right. I know I've thrown you off recently.
Hey, we're back. We haven't been live in a while.
We're
so
back.
We figured,
we're
screw it.
better than ever. We're back.
What are you, 80s cartoon?
Power Rangers. Hong Kong Fooey.
Right. Anyway.
Sorry. I get excited.
All right. So this week's... We're live. We're live again. We hope you enjoy this. We hope you'll watch. Drop some comments in the comment section, and we will try and answer them. But we're excited, first of all, for our bourbon date.
Yes, we're having some fine Kentucky bourbon. Weller, a special reserve, because we have some special friends.
That's right.
In the Acement this week. So cheers, Clinkies, everybody.
Cheers. And we haven't done one of these shows in a while, so we figured, you know what? We haven't done one where we have some newer comics on to kind of come on and talk about how they got started, but it's been more recently. So then also talking about what it's like being a comic now, coming up through open mics and
post-pandemic
and stuff like that.
Politically correct world that we're in now, because the last time we did it was before COVID and before the things that people are dealing with nowadays. So it'll be interesting to get that viewpoint. Because it's changed a lot.
So I will tell you, our guests tonight are two newer comics, and we'll get into how they got started and stuff like that, but two newer comics from the Rhode Island comedy scene. We have Mr. Kyle Cote.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
And Ms. Caren Lioce.
That's it, Caren with a C.
Caren with a C. See, I spelled it correctly on the screen. You like that?
Look at that.
How do you like that?
Caren with a C.
So you guys are both comics that you've worked with Kyle, but not Caren, right?
Yep.
We worked
at the Comedy Park together.
And I've worked with both of them, Comedy Park and Pump House. Did you do the Pump House the night I was there?
I didn't do it the night you were there.
But you did. That was the first night I met you, right, Caren?
Yeah, I went up to you after.
Yeah.
Give you a little hug.
Go close.
Give you a little hug to you.
Everybody hugs Ace.
Everyone hugs
Everybody
me.
hugs Ace.
She's like, you little pumpkin. Look at you.
Slip right into my hand.
I know. She's taller than me, too. So I just engulfed into
She worked you like a marionette.
She did. No, but it was great because we got to work together, and both of you have impressed me both times that I've seen you guys, because you've done well. I had Caren on the most recent Royal Flush show. She was the Jack, and she did great. We had a blast. We were both hitting on the same woman after a while. But it was fun. You know, it was a fun night. So we'll start with Kyle. How did you start? Like, first of all, were you the funny kid growing up? Did you make people laugh? Were you the class clown?
Yeah, that was always my favorite thing in life, was just to make people laugh.
Yep.
I felt like in school, if you weren't trying to have fun, you weren't going to. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
So, like, that 5 minutes between class bell to bell,
Yeah.
I'm trying to make someone laugh. I'm trying to have a good time.
Right.
Make use of that time.
Were you funny in class? Like, did you kind of?
I got yelled at.
Yeah,
by
okay,
trouble.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie.
It's kind of a common theme with us comics.
Yeah,
My sophomore year,
because you were kind of sugarcoating that by going in between class. I would make people laugh. No,
Sure, it was in between.
You were disrupting class, and
Kyle, go to the
cutting things
principal's
out.
office
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't. I was too sweet. They couldn't throw me out. They
No.
just were like,
I feel bad
they're
for
like,
him.
I can't do that. To
Were
him.
you
Right.
were you one of the and I've seen people like that. They would make the class laugh, but somehow made the teacher like them too, so they didn't get in as much trouble.
Right.
And then there was the wise ass that would make the class laugh and get kicked out all the time. So there was two different types of class clowns.
I was lucky. Yeah, I was a lucky
so
one.
you were the likable one.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I know that.
I mean, I was horrible.
You probably were too.
I was too, because I was the one that made people laugh, and then they would laugh. The teacher would turn around, they'd get in trouble, and I would just be sitting there like
Yeah.
quiet, you know, like I don't know
Oh,
what
you
they're
were
talking
slick.
about.
Ace was slick.
I
back then.
was.
He was.
I was.
He was.
So-
Were you did you have brothers and sisters?
Oh yeah, I'm one of 6.
And where are you in the lineup?
Number 4.
Of
Yeah,
course.
somewhere in the
Yeah.
middle.
Yep.
Yeah, we never have like the firstborn as the comic. Very few times
Less-
is the
Really?
firstborn a comic.
In 6 years,
Less
we could
than
count
2
in
hands.
less than 2 hands. How many were the firstborn?
Now,
Wow.
Caren, how about you?
Baby.
You were the baby.
Out of how
'Cause-
many?
There's two other sisters, so 3.
So
Yeah.
you were the youngest of 3.
So it was, you're screaming for attention if you're the middle or the baby. And you know, the firstborn is always like, you know, the rocket scientist or the manager. What is your firstborn?
The oldest of all the kids does what for a living?
She's a CNA.
A CNA? Okay.
And
Oh, she works at a gas, well, not a gas station, but inside sales for Citizens.
Okay. Yeah.
but
I
see
forgot-
both of them trying to downplay.
I know,
it.
They're not as cool because they're not as cool.
Yeah, right. No, we're cool being the comics.
Yeah, they're just
Exactly.
very straight laced.
Right,
Yeah, they're
exactly.
usually the most serious.
Yeah.
They usually were better in school than we were. You know, so.
Didn't get in trouble for, you know, doing shit in school. Yeah, that's how it was. So Caren, how about you? Were you the class clown?
Yeah, well, I would actually say more like when I would do it like on the down low.
Yeah.
But not even that I would, it's everybody said, you're Caren, you're so funny. I'm like, I am. I don't even know that I'm being funny. They're like, it's your delivery.
Right,
It's your
right.
delivery.
And
I'm
that's
like, I
what-
don't even know. Like,
That's what impressed me about you when I first saw you was I'm like, all right, I don't know her material that well, but her stage presence, she looks like she's been doing this for a long time.
Well,
You
no,
just
thank
look
you.
like you're in the middle of the circle of your friends, just delivering your material. And that's what people used to tell me when they would say you should do comedy.
And that's something
Same.
that can't be taught.
No,
yeah,
you
because you're
can't
probably
teach
animated.
it.
We're just naturally animated. We got to
It's
use
the Italian
hands.
thing, right? Yeah.
No, and you know,
walk.
there are some people that are just naturally good storytellers,
Right.
And they're funny, and you just have to kind of learn how to put your jokes together and stuff like that. But you're good at telling the story already, so that kind of gives you a little bit of a leg up. And plus, you started comedy a little older than most other people,
Yeah,
Right.
I just
you know.
started at 49.
And how old are you?
28.
Yeah, see.
I just started at 49.
Right.
No, and
yeah.
I started older. I already
yeah?
had 3 kids when I started.
How old were you?
I was 33 when I started, which was old for comedy.
Yeah.
It wasn't old, but when I went on stage for the first time, pretty much everybody else that open mic night was like, I think
Younger.
the next oldest was 22 or 21.
Yeah, they're all
you know?
puppies. They're all puppies,
Yeah.
right?
They were all kids.
I'm always saying that when I go to these open mics, I'm like, wow, I could breastfeed all of them. Can I say that?
And
some of them would
and
take
some
you
of
up
them
on
would
it.
appreciate it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of
I
course you
appreciate
can.
it.
I'm like, can I say that?
I don't know about you guys, but suddenly I'm thirsty.
I'm thirsty for milk. I don't know about you.
I need some calcium.
Anyone want a
now.
White Russian?
But I
How does that
Yeah.
go with bourbon? Like, can we milk some in?
All right. Now you just went over
But I
the
have
board.
to admit, I did my first hosting at Jake and Johnny's last 2 Thursdays ago. I hosted there, and all the comedians were so great. They were like, I was like, guys, can you just watch me get into my car? Like, just,
Yeah.
I felt like so supportive. No one was
Right.
there to hit. I mean, not that they would hit on me, but you never know today.
No,
but they were
exactly.
just so kind and supportive, and
Yeah.
they were-
And
like I was the mother of them, and it just felt so endearing and genuine. The whole
Right.
thing.
And I think, and Kyle, I'm sure you found it the same way. Comedians tend to be very supportive of each other for the most part.
Yes.
It's,
Yeah.
in 21 years, in your 30 plus years, we could probably name less than 5 people that were absolute assholes.
Yeah.
And we've discussed them before, the guys that just were standoffish or assholes or jerks, but I've had unbelievable moments with some big name people that have given me advice
Yeah.
or helped me out or it's just
Right.
an unbelievable supportive community, because I think a lot of those guys remember what it was like when they came up.
Well, especially when you're first starting out.
Yes,
Because everyone's
exactly.
in the same boat. You're all just trying to get good. You're all just
Yeah.
trying to get stage time. And you're seeing the same people all the time. Like, that's
Yeah.
one of the things that I miss.
Yes.
Not getting to go to open mics as much as I used to when I started, because it was like a camaraderie,
Yeah.
like I used to go to open mics with Tom Cotter and Al Ducharme and all those
Wow.
guys,
that's-
and it was, Rockin' Joe and Parada. We had so much fun. It was like a family. Every Wednesday night you looked forward to going to an open mic and hanging out with everyone. That's your class, and it's. And then, unfortunately, what happens is
You move up.
as people are moving up, some people move up faster than others,
like
and some
anything
people
else.
get jealous. And that's when
They don't help you as
relationships,
much.
that's when they don't help you as much sometimes,
Yeah.
That and not everyone, but there are some people who will move up a level and be like, all right, I'm up here now. I'm not going to help you because I don't want to ruin it for me and not get as much work
Or
if I'm helping you.
Or the opposite, when you're starting along and all of a sudden you get bumped up to feature, and someone else is still at the hosting
At the
or
host.
opening stage, and they're like, well, he didn't deserve that, she didn't deserve that,
Right.
I'm better than they are, and there becomes this
I can see
jealousy or
There's definitely still some of that.
Yeah.
I don't
out
think
on
I,
there. I mean, it's always going to be there.
It's normal.
I mean,
And the biggest
unfortunately.
and the biggest
Exactly.
piece of advice I can give to people is don't worry about what anyone else
Block
is
it out.
doing,
Block it
because as much as you might be jealous of something they're doing, they're jealous of something you're doing.
doing.
Do you know
Right.
how many people are probably jealous that you got asked to be on the Royal Flush show because they know that was an established show?
I'm jealous
in-
that you got on.
Yeah, he hasn't even been on
No,
it
I was
yet.
so- I-
no,
no.
but it's true. There are people who are probably jealous because they're like, "Oh shit, she got on that." I mean, that was a killer show. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
you had all the heavy,
Not just
heavy hitters.
not just because of me,
Yeah.
but because we had Frank O'Donnell, we had Charlie Hall,
Poppy.
That was
and
a-
Poppy. I mean, that was an
Yeah, and then
amazing
I'm
fucking
thrown in
show.
there, so I
That was
like,
a who's who of the Rhode Island Comedy Hall
Yeah.
of Fame.
Absolutely, and we got to actually announce that night that Poppy is the next.
Were you on
inductee.
it, Kyle?
Huh? No.
No, neither was I. Yeah, neither was I. So.
Someday, kids.
but I
someday.
think it's a great venue though that you when you do it again, you're always going to have an
a
upcoming.
different. Yeah.
So
that's what
and
I do.
When he
yeah.
created that show, the format that he came up with was such a great idea, because he has positions for established comics. He has positions for new comics. He has everything on that show. So it's such a great variety of somebody from beginning to established. So you get all of that in one show. It just works.
And it's
It
not
just
a long.
works.
I mean, it went a little bit long that night, but it's typically not a long, dragged out show. It's not a 4-hour
Right.
show. It's an hour and 40 minutes. Because, and I tell like the people who are. I've had people who will approach me and go, "Hey, I could be the queen or the king. I've got 25 minutes." Yeah, but I want people who have 55 minutes
Right.
to do their best 25.
Right.
I don't want someone who can do 25. I want the best 25 of someone who does more.
That's what I do too.
No, I
My
know,
shows.
I know.
No. I'm saying on my
Oh,
shows.
on your shows.
With
yeah,
the
yeah.
All-Star
I thought you were
shows,
busting balls.
I put 4 headliners on my All-Star shows. They each do 25 minutes. I don't want you to do all 50. Do 25 minutes.
Do the
and give me
best
your best
of.
25 minutes because I can have you back and you didn't burn through all your material.
Right.
And if
we
you're
put
and,
a killer show out.
and if you're newer, if you're the Joker, I want you to do the best 10 minutes out of the 30 minutes that you probably have.
Exactly.
And if you're the Jack, I want you to do your best 5 to 7.
Yeah.
You know, it's what you've been working
And-
on, what's working at the open mic nights consistently.
You know, and actually, Sunday, I've been working with the Bradley Playhouse for 10 years now. This is our 10th season coming up. And I actually had somebody from the Bradley compliment me for when I bring new comics on to do an opening spot.
An opening spot.
They
yeah.
said I like how you've started to work in some of the newer people and give them a 10-minute spot at a theater show like that.
Right,
They
right.
said we love obviously the show you put on because you're doing 4 headliners. They said, but I like when you bring the new people on and give them a chance to do a show because it's 400 people, and then you get this new guy that or girl that comes out and
Yeah.
you get to do the spot in front of this big crowd for the first time. So I said to them, well, if you guys like it, I'm going to start.
Keep doing it.
Doing
Yeah,
some
give
more of
someone
that.
give
And-
someone
and
an
Keep
opportunity.
rotating, and it's always a fresh new
You know,
face.
and-
Right.
People like to see a different face.
And if
Exactly.
I see a new comic that impresses me, I'm going to invite them on to do a 7 to 10 minute guest spot at the front of the show in front of all these headliners because I've had some really good guest spots and it's a lot of fun. And I want to pay it forward because when I started, there were some great people that gave me some amazing opportunities.
Yeah.
Just like you did, and we've
Yeah.
talked about it before. And if I have the opportunity to help somebody else, I wanted to be able to do that.
Right,
now.
right.
Because that made the world of difference for me. And if
To
I
have
can do
that
that
chance.
for somebody else, that's my turn now to pay that forward.
So
Right, and that's
Let me. I was going to ask one question, if you don't
I'll
mind.
get there.
You guys both mentioned about being class clowns. Now, was stand-up even a thought in your brain? Like, were you thinking, I would love to try it when you were growing up and going through high school and everything like that? Or was that not even a thought at that point? Kyle, were you a stand-up fan? Was it something that you...
Some
Thought of?
stand up, but I was more like I wanted to be in movies. Like Chris Farley was always my hero.
I'm with you on that.
Chris-
And in
One of the
10th
greatest
grade,
ever.
One of the stories I was going to bring up in 10th grade when I was fooling around, I had a substitute teacher, this old woman, and I wanted to, pretend I'm in Tommy Boy and flip the desk and go, there's bees everywhere. And she's clueless. She's just
she has no idea what the hell
like,
you're doing.
Calm down. And I'm like,
Somebody get an
running around.
EpiPen.
I didn't get kicked out.
Wow.
I don't know how.
Holy shit.
So likable.
I was
Yeah,
like, holy
that's it.
crap.
If you're likable.
So
Like-
would
How
you...
about you, Karen?
Yeah, Karen, you.
In regards to, if I was
Like,
always
were
the-
you even considering
Oh.
that someday
Stand-up.
I would
Yeah,
try
I-
stand-up, or were you just this funny person?
Yeah, I always wanted to do stand up, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to be 50 soon. Who cares what people think?
But what
And I
about
go,
when you were a
Right.
teenager in high
Yeah,
school? Was that
yeah.
even a thought then?
No, no, because I knew I was just thinking. I came from old school Italian that you can't. Not,
You got to
have
get a good
rich
job.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
'Cause they're
What
not
are you going to
thinking,
be, a
what are you
fasucci?
gonna do?
Yeah.
You're going to be a.
You're gonna be a clown.
That's not going to be a steady income. Where's the benefits? They got no benefits. Dad.
Exactly,
Where's the
yeah.
benefits? I'm like, I don't know, Dad.
Yeah,
No.
right. I don't
And my
know. There's
dad-
not a
my dad-
union.
I always say, I said this in one of my things. That my dad had me in 19. He was born in 1922. My dad.
Oh,
so
wow.
he had me at 54 years old. So
Holy
my
shit.
Crap.
so he so
Powerhouse
so my,
in his
I
love.
thought my
Right.
dad had me at 36. I
Yeah.
thought it was old.
Well, no,
Holy
he was
shit.
shooting. They weren't blanks. They were not blanks. So, but
Those
I-
Italian
Yeah,
guys.
hey, we're
He
strong.
shot out a star. That's
Yeah.
what he did.
He served in World War II, so I'm always like, I should be
Wow.
like at least 70, right?
Yeah.
'Cause, like,
Right.
you're thinking somebody in World War II, because that's what the kids today are. They're
Right.
they're like 70,
Right, right.
So
My grandfather was in World War II. My father was born from him coming home.
yeah, yeah. Most of them came home and had
And I'm
kids.
older than
Yeah.
you.
He waited.
Yeah.
Wow.
so
Good for you, Dad.
But I was a mistake. So because they
No,
only
you
wanted
weren't.
to,
Yeah, no,
but
now they
No,
say
you
a
were.
surprise.
I always say good thing. They even said at the
You were
when
a
I was born,
blessing.
The doctor told my mother, watch out for this one. This one's going to be a firecracker.
Yeah, yeah, they knew.
Boom, when I came out.
Truer words were never spoken.
Yeah, right?
But
So, so you know, the thought of being a comedian wasn't something that entered your mind until when?
Until like the last 3 or 4 years, because I'm like,
Really?
I don't really feel fulfilled. I've always known that, like, people are always like, Kat, you're so funny, But I was like, well, maybe I should do something with it. I mean, because I don't even know that I'm like They're like, Kat,
You're
the
just
delivery.
you.
It's just
Yeah.
you. They're like, you don't understand how funny you are. Just the way you say things.
So when did that moment come to you that you said, I really got to think about trying this?
I gotta relish in this. I'm like, it was Poppy had we're getting back about
So
one
yeah, I
of the
was going to
classes.
say that.
So Poppy had a class this past summer. It was like a June class. And I said, you know what, if there's any time that I'm going to go down, because I used to always see her classes pop up. And I said, if there's an opportunity to do it, I'm going to do it now. Because it's always at the pump house. She does her class.
Right.
So
Down
you
in
practice right on the stage there, which is beautiful. And so I said, you know what? And I've always known Poppy. I've always followed her in general. So she's always knew me anyway as a friend.
Yep.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to. And so when I signed up, she's like, "Oh, you're gonna be great."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Really? I mean, wow."
Because she saw the potential. She saw the animation and the presentation that you have, the stage presence.
And I think some of that is going back to what I said earlier. When you come out to do comedy when you're older, you bring all this life experience with you, so you have more to draw on when you're doing your material.
Yeah.
Whereas someone who's 19 or 20, nothing against them. There's some very funny guys that come out when they're 19 or 20, but they don't have the same life experience. You're coming in with all this life experience behind you.
What do they talk about? They talk about playing with themselves. They talk about shitting. It's like everyone goes through it.
And again,
even Eddie Murphy said it in one of his specials. He said, I was 14 years old. I was writing stuff. He goes, what did I talk about? You ever notice he was doing it as Eddie Murphy? He's like, or as Richard Pryor. You ever notice there's like different kinds of shits? You got pebble shits, you got loose. And he goes, that's what you write about when you're 14. You know?
And I'm not putting them down for that. You got to talk about what you know, but you're walking in with this wealth of life experience, so you can draw on a ton to talk about.
Right.
I try to do
Very
relatable stuff because everybody
does.
Yeah.
Well, instead of like just always the dirty. I mean, not that I don't think that's funny. Don't get me wrong.
Like the shit Kyle does.
No.
Yeah. No, but the thing.
I'm clean compared to a lot of the newer guys.
You actually are. You actually are.
We've actually
But
talked.
I had my, my dirty.
Yeah, we've all had it, but we always tell people, because people gave us the same advice. It's easier to get work consistently if you do clean.
Absolutely.
If you do clean, you can work corporate, you can work a church show, you can work a club, you can work anywhere. If you're dirty, you automatically take certain shows out of the equation.
Great example. Last weekend, I'm doing a show with these two other comics I've never worked with before. I don't know them at all. And we were told that this show, they don't want us overly dirty and no F words. Mm-hmm. And they also said, don't make fun of the town. They've heard it all before. All right, whatever. I don't normally make fun of the town anyway, so that's fine. Mm-hmm. Now, the two comics that went up before me, they're both actually have some very funny material, but what I watched is two people struggle trying to figure out how to clean up some of their jokes as they're doing them. Right. And while the premises were funny, they struggled to try to make some of the punchlines clean. And they didn't deliver as well as they probably could have, because you could see them in their own head worrying about it.
Right.
I think that's what it is, just being a new comic. When you're set to an expectation, when you show up at a show, you're already nervous. And then you're like that happened to me once. We were supposed to do a comedy contest at Night to Columbus. We had, forget, like 6 or 7 minutes. Show up, we get cut a minute automatically. So I was like, I got nervous. Everyone else got nervous, but that's just being a new comic, and but
and you got to be prepared for that.
Exactly.
And it's because
it could happen anytime.
It's because you've prepared your set to a certain point, and now you're like, oh shit, you just threw a wrench. And I've said the story before. I got hired to open up for Luther Vandross at the Warwick Musical Theater.
Oh, wow.
Now, you've seen my act. I do a lot about growing up Catholic, going to Catholic school.
Yeah,
Catholic. It's all, it's all religion stuff.
Yeah.
The day of, I get a call and they said, hey, you got 15 minutes and, Luther is a born-again Christian, so don't do any religious stuff. I'm like, have you seen my fucking act? Like, that was, and at the time, I didn't have as much material as I have now.
No, right,
Three-quarters of my act was all about being Catholic and growing up Catholic and going to Catholic school. So I was nervous as shit. I had to, that day, I reworked some material where instead of saying Catholic school, I said private school. But I've told a story. I went down to that stage and I started launching into my jokes and I looked around the room and I was so nervous about how I had to change stuff.
You're in your head.
I was in my head that I started seeing tunnel vision. I thought I was going to pass out.
Yeah.
And the only thing that took me out of it was I could imagine the Providence Journal headline the next day. Comedian passes out on stage in front of Luther. And as soon as I saw that headline, I snapped out of it. And I was like, what? I'm just going for it.
At least you had notice. I've walked into shows before. That as I got there, I literally did a show one time. I was hired to do this private show. I brought my sound equipment. I'm setting up the sound equipment.
Yeah.
10 minutes before the show, and a guy comes over to me with a list of things I can't talk about. 10 minutes before the show.
Oh. Wow, you figured they'd give you a heads up.
Right.
No heads up, no anything like that.
So prior notice.
You never know what's going to happen. You have to be prepared for those moments. So I really feel for you guys nowadays because I feel like the list of those type of things has grown since I started in 2002, and there wasn't a lot of no-go subjects.
No.
There wasn't a lot of no-go words. There was a handful of things that everybody just universally knew, stay away from these things, the common courtesy type of things. But nowadays, that stuff is growing. The trigger things that set people off.
Yeah.
So you guys have a bigger obstacle when it comes to that type of stuff. Now, you've been doing comedy how long, Kyle?
So I started a year in November.
You're in November, and you?
So July. June,
this
July.
past July?
July, yeah.
So you're a little over 6 months in.
Yeah.
You're a little over a year in. So have you run across that where you've tried some material that, okay, this is not going to work?
Yeah, but I kind of add my, that innocence to it to try and win
them over. Yeah.
Does that still work like it did in school?
He does. You know what? No, he's very
likable.
He has a
very
very likable stage presence. Exactly.
Yeah, you're very likable on stage because I remember when we worked together. That was one of the things I liked about you when I watched you is that you're just on stage. You're just instantly likable when you come out there.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
I mean, in person, not so much, but on stage,
you're a total dick off.
Yeah, no.
But on stage, you're the nicest guy.
No,
he has that warm and fuzzy feeling.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you guys because we talked a little bit about you having you doing Poppy's class before the show started. You said you did John Parada's class, so I want to get into so you decide I'm going to do comedy. I'm going to take this class.
Right.
What was it like? Because what kind of things did you study in the class? Because everyone runs their class differently.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
So, what did they focus on? What did Poppy focus on? I'd love to learn, what the different... Because I know John isn't just John. It's John and Rockin' Joe and
it was more Colleen.
Colleen runs the class,
Yeah, Colleen was
really?
the teacher.
In other words, Parada sits on his ass again, and so does Joe. Good. Good to know. Colleen's doing all the work.
Brother, you're doing great, brother.
And Colleen's awesome.
Kyle, you're killing it, Kyle.
She'll murder you in a minute.
Oh, we love
I
Colleen.
know,
Are you kidding? And if we didn't say that, she'd fucking kill us.
you.
No,
Yeah,
I love Colleen.
I'm genuinely afraid of Colleen.
I love
Everybody-
Colleen.
Oh my God,
We had her on a couple of years ago. She's awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
She is. She, even seeing her.
My first night at a comedy club 21 years ago that I mentioned in a post that I had recently, she was the second comic that went up.
Wow.
Yeah. She had stepped away for a while from comedy, and it was her return to comedy.
Okay.
And I drew number one because we drew numbers out of a hat. She drew number two.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
wow.
So her and I are kind of connected in comedy.
she's the best. She really is.
I love Colleen.
And she's met up with me, on a
Just
few
to coach
occasions
you.
just to help me.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah,
like,
she-
"Can you
she's
help
a
me out,
sweetheart.
make sure my
She's a
set
sweetheart.
is good.
Yeah.
My material's good, and she just meets me.
She's like, yeah.
She's like, oh, I'll get you a coffee, this and that. Like, she's like my comedy mom.
Yeah.
You know?
So
And
what-
And by the way, Kyle, if you ever need help with any of your material, call her again because I'm not going to
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
felt
what
like
was it?
Colleen was like a therapist. She's like,
Yeah.
you can, like a believer. You can do this. Don't
Right.
No, she's
you know,
awesome. She's
having
awesome.
confidence in yourself. I like, right? Like she was just like, you can do this, And she just, you got, what's that word? Candace? That word that you said, you have Candace, cadence.
Cadence. Oh, a certain cadence. Yeah, yeah.
But like just in general, she'd be like, you got to get out of your head. She just cut and dry to the point, So
Right.
she was like the big confidence builder. So
Yeah.
I think that's what stuck out to me in her class the most. I don't know,
Oh,
do
because
tend
you
to-
took both of them?
I did take both of them.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, wow.
So did you see differences? Because I'm
Well,
really
yeah.
interested in classes.
Yeah.
I never took a class.
Okay.
It was trial by
So
fire.
There
So
weren't
what
that
was it?
many back
So,
No. So what was it
the
like?
difference to me, it's not. They all have their
Yeah.
good points.
You
Not
learned something from
right,
both
exactly,
classes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I met different people at different ones, and
Right.
one of them I still talking today. And
Yeah.
that's actually watching the show right now. So, Poppy's classes run a little bit different. She only takes no more than 5 or 6 people.
Okay.
That's it.
Yep.
Because she feels like that she can't work on your material individually
Right.
without that much attention.
Right.
And
So
That's
what
a
does she
smart
do?
move,
So
in
you
my
come to her
opinion.
with an idea, you have like a basic joke structure, and then she.
Well, yeah. Well, so actually, I had material that I had with me. She's like, "Wow, Kat, you're ahead of the game."
Right.
But she actually opens up a notebook and is just like, "Tell me about you," and she just starts writing about like with your kids,
Right, right.
And then she just, this could be funny, So
Right.
she just like sucks
She's
it up.
mining the
She's like,
stuff.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
like vacuuming it out of you, like
Yeah.
it's crazy. And then she'll be like, "You see me," and she'll just write really, really fast, and then she'll go to the next one and be like, "Now this is something you can derive from here. Though, you come from this kind of a family. You were
Right.
born in Turkish or something like that.
Right.
And
right.
so she really like.
So she
zones
basically
in.
has you write a paragraph about yourself and then mines from that and says, okay, here's some threads of what could be funny.
Yeah,
and then
like-
you work on the jokes from there.
because she actually interviews you.
Right, right.
So.
And
she
what
would-
was it like with John Parada's class with Colleen?
Well,
What were the differences?
Well, she would say like, does anybody have like something funny that happened to you over the weekend? Or
Yep.
you want to get up and say a joke?
The
and then,
homework and stuff.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we would just get up and then she would critique you right
Yep.
there. But her class is a little bit different. There was 20 in her
Right.
class.
We
see.
had I think like close to 30 people in
Yeah.
our
Oh,
class,
wow.
so it was
Okay.
But John's like, it's a good turnout, brother. We got like almost 30 people.
Right. Yeah. Well, the other difference is John Parada's looking at that graduation show, going, "Hey,
Cha-ching.
brother, we're gonna fill
Listen,
this place
up.
with
Now listen,
30,
you're gonna-
30 people in the class. Each one brings 4 people. That's 180. Yeah,
Now,
that's
hook you up.
good.
Pack
Yeah.
this place,
We
brother.
had
Rock the room,
160.
brother.
Yeah.
Rock the room.
I can hook you up. It might be 5. Maybe I can get you 6, but 5. Just count $5. Every person you put through the door, I'm going to give you
Right,
$5,
right.
Karen.
Yeah.
No many. Not a lot of comedians do what I do. They don't do what I do. No?
I got a system, brother. I got a system. It works.
It works.
People think I'm
Some
nuts,
shows,
but it
people
works.
don't know what I do. Some shows they don't know. They think I make a lot of money. Some
Yeah.
shows they do good. Some shows I don't do good. I have to fill the holes like it's like Titanic. I got to pull from here. and there.
I'm like the little
Yeah.
the Danish boy. I got to
Yeah.
stick my thumb in the dam.
I
You know what
don't-
I'm talking about, brother.
It's
I
just,
will throw
Titanic.
I will throw fists to defend John.
Oh,
Parada.
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, my God.
I
That
love
is-
Amazing.
Man.
He is one of the greatest people on the face of the earth.
He'll even tell you no one would do what he
Absolutely.
does.
There's
No
no
one.
one like
No
that.
No one would do what he
I,
does.
No.
I have reached out to him and said, "Hey, Friday night, you got a show I can just do a spot on." I said, "I'm not looking for a paid spot. Just
Yeah, just
wanna
wanna
do
get
a
up
few-
on stage
I
and
want to
do
do a few
something."
minutes because I
Yep.
got a night off. I want to work some new material." And I'll get there, and he'll try to give me some cash.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "No, John, I'm just doing a spot. Well, at least take some chicken palm with you." They gotta- tonight. Take
Come
some
on, I
chicken
got
palm
8
with
boxes left
You
over.
know.
We paid for them.
We'll
pay-
pack you up some dinner to
Yeah.
go. So
No, you don't want any.
John,
Yeah, come on.
John is my comedy big brother. He gave me my first paid gig when
Yep.
I started.
Yep.
I love the guy to death. I literally will defend him to the end of time.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
I think
he
we all
is.
can say that in this room
there's
right
no
now.
one like
He is
him.
the
Everybody
godfather
that has
of all of
gone,
us.
anybody
Godfather.
that has worked through Rhode Island will say the same thing about John. John
Yeah.
is amazing.
I actually started when John took his sabbatical. He did it for a couple of years, or he did it for like a year, and then he took like time off. So that's when I started, and then he came back. But you know, the thing about John is because he does that for people, they don't forget.
No.
So a couple
Look
of
at
years
Bill Burr.
ago, when Bill Burr called him up and said, "Hey, I want you to open up for me at the Hampton Beach Casino," that was a huge thing for John. But it's because John gave him a shot. He gave him a hosting spot at Old McDonald's Chicken Farm in Rehoboth,
yeah,
brother.
yeah.
All you can eat chicken and French fries. It's like
and
Wright's Farm, but it's in
Tom,
Rehoboth.
Tom Cotter hasn't forgotten about John
Nope.
Parada.
No.
Friggin' when John had all the guys from Boston, Lenny Clark, Don Gavin,
Yep.
Sweeney, all those guys come down and do stuff because
Yep.
everybody knows what John means
Right.
to comedy in this area.
Yeah.
John's way too important. For people like you guys, John is a world of difference because he's going to put you on paid shows.
Yep.
Not not when I say paid shows, I mean the people in the audience paid to be there.
Right.
They're a real audience. It's not
You know,
just an
though,
open mic night. So
I-
you're in front of a real audience.
I think it's because John and we've I don't know if you remember, you probably don't remember him because he might have left by then, but there was a guy before John.
No, I don't know.
His name was Brian
Yeah,
Deary.
I didn't know
And he
Brian.
owned Funny Farm Comedy. And he was like, you know, you started at open mics and you started at Periwinkle's doing open mic nights and stuff. And then all of a sudden you'd hear this guy, Brian Deary, was in the audience, and he was a comic too. So he would do some material. But all of a sudden he'd give you his card and he'd go, "Hey, you know, I book a couple of rooms like the Great Imposter, brother." You know, but he would book these restaurants with these function rooms. And Brian was the first one to book a lot of people. And then Brian moved to Florida, and it was just as John was coming back to comedy. In fact, John actually bought the Funny Farm Comedy. He had already started Comedy Factory, but he bought all the clients that Funny Farm had.
Yeah.
And he just moved forward. So I think, you know, John looked at Brian and was like, "Hey, this guy gives people a shot, and I want to be like that," you know. And when Brian moved to Florida, you know, it was the perfect opportunity for John to step into that role, and he stepped into the role, but brought it to a next level,
and never forgot.
and never forgot. Exactly. Yeah.
His heart is huge. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. I'm always still can't believe it when I see what he does for people.
Yep.
It's-
and
Yeah.
Oh, I'm breaking.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Scott did that.
the guy literally has
There'll be no basement left.
the guy's lost. John Parada has literally lost money on shows.
Oh, yeah.
but has taken care of every comic.
Every comic.
on
And he'll
the
take it out of his
show.
own
It's always
pocket.
how it
Yes,
is.
exactly.
Yes,
Yes,
he
he
says it all
has.
the time.
Now, let me ask you this: you guys both, you know, barely a year, over a year, less than a year.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest obstacle so far about getting into comedy right now? Because post-pandemic, politically correct world, you know, it's a different time to get into comedy. Like we talked about when we got in, is very, very different. We didn't worry about material. We just talked about whatever. There was a lot.
You didn't have to worry about getting canceled on your third show.
No, and I
We
also
all
think
flounder. You know
I
what
also
I mean?
think there was a lot more opportunities for us to get on stage and get in different places.
Yeah, I
back
think
then
so.
than there
How
is
would you
now.
get canceled? Can I like?
No. In other words,
Well, now there is, because
now.
if you
Yeah.
talk about something that is going to upset
yeah,
the
you didn't
wrong
have to get
people,
canceled.
Yeah.
they're going to go online, they're going to blog about you, they're going to
look, it just
Twitter
happened.
about you.
It just happened. So Rafi Gonzalez, one of our friends, who does a lot of cruise ships now, he just got picked up by Carnival Cruise. He posted a reel where he made fun of some lady because evidently she must have been wearing like a striped shirt.
Yeah.
And he goes, "What? Are you a referee?" And he started pointing her out,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
goes,
it wasn't even that bad.
It wasn't even that bad. He was like, "Are you a referee?" And she's bitching at him, yelling shit out. And he goes, "I don't know. Maybe you just got off your shift at Foot Locker. I'm just asking you questions, you know?"
right.
And then all of a sudden,
That's
he
pitiful.
posted another story where she like went on his page and wrote this big long thing about, you know, oh, so original. You're a middle-aged man wearing your baseball cap backwards, making fun of people in the audience. It's like, evidently this lady must have disrupted his show by walking in the middle of it. And he was just pointing it out, trying to make light of it.
Yeah. Right.
And he did the best he could. And then this lady goes after him online. You know, and I think he did the right thing. I think he did the right thing by posting it so that people can see how fucking ridiculous it is.
Like how-
Here's a guy who's not famous. He's just doing his job. You know?
Yeah, right.
He didn't even really attack her.
No, not at all.
He didn't.
It was just basic
commented.
stuff, right?
He just commented on what was happening.
If you walk into my show and you in the middle of it and you disrupt it, I'm going to point it out, you know?
Because
Right.
as comedians on stage, if something happens in the room that draws the attention of everyone in the room, we're going to comment on it because that is what everyone's attention is on.
Exactly.
So we're naturally going to comment on it to try to get everyone's attention.
It's no different than someone walking into a show late. You're going to do the same
Exactly.
thing.
You're going to do the same
What's the difference? You're going to do the same thing and be like, oh, do you have a clock? You have a watch?
But
No.
she,
Yeah, hey, can we get you
Yeah,
anything?
thing,
Like a
you get
fucking
the
watch we
watch.
started
She-
10 minutes ago.
she-
That's a stock line.
Yeah.
she was pissed
exactly.
off because he called her out.
Right.
So she went on attack mode.
Yeah. So she went online, made herself look like more of an asshole, if you ask me. But
I would say so. I
Yeah.
think that sounds ridiculous to get upset over.
that's the
I
thing.
mean,
you never know.
That's the world we live in now.
The world we live
and
in
that's,
now.
that's what you guys are
Yeah.
dealing with.
As
I
open
think
micers, you
more
could
so
say-
than we have to deal with.
Right.
Right.
But you guys as open micers, I remember, and I've said this before, I remember an interview with Jim Carrey where they were like, how are you so funny? He goes, you know what? When you're a comic, if something comes into your mind, you got to throw it out there. And 7 out of 10 things might absolutely fail. And you get 3 pieces of gold. But you wouldn't get those 3 pieces of gold if you didn't throw the other 7 things in there.
Right.
Well, nowadays, those other 7 things might get you canceled.
Right.
Like you don't have the ability to take risks and take chances and say something.
Yeah.
Because now when you're in your head going, oh, did I offend someone? Did I piss someone off?
Right,
Did
right,
I,
right.
you know, and not that you're going to get, I don't, you know, when I say canceled, I don't mean like someone's going to cancel you when you're not known, you're doing open mics, but it can hurt you. You know what I mean? They could go online and start bitching at you for something. Like,
Because you didn't
I
have
did
any
a
of that.
show.
You didn't have no Facebook,
No,
Instagram.
I did a show. I did a show
Yeah.
15 years ago. 2 shows in a row. I was on the board of directors for the American Lung Association.
Yeah.
First year we did the show, went great. Second year we did the show, it went great. I hired Stephanie Peters and Tony V. I hosted it, right? It was a great
a
show.
kick-ass show.
Yeah. After the show, lady comes up to me and said, you know, you offended God.
I remember this.
And I said, excuse me?
Yeah.
You offended God with that wedding at Cana joke. And I said, no, ma'am. I obviously offended you,
Yeah.
but who are you to say I offended God? You're not God. God gave me my talent of making people laugh. I'm working through God. And by the way, we just raised $25,000 for the Lung Association. I think God can get over a little joke about the wedding at Cana. She was so rip shit. She emailed me the next day and was like, I have to tell you how offensive you were to God, and I hope you decide to change your act.
Yeah, people like
Now
that. just-
think about it nowadays. If that lady was on Facebook, she'd put that shit on my page.
Oh, yeah, just
she'd
blow it up.
put me on blast. Like, come on, you know. And that's why we say, you know, you guys are coming up in a different time. Maybe you haven't really felt that because, again, I think at an open mic too, people might be a little more understanding because they know people are there and they might flounder a little bit. They're trying to find their voice. They're trying to find the jokes. But I don't know if you guys have run into that.
I definitely feel like nowadays it's sad, but there's more of open mic jokes and there's more of show jokes.
Yeah.
Like
You have to know
like,
which ones you can get away with
Exactly.
where.
So I made a joke about one of the hosts who started a new open mic. I haven't used it yet, but I know I can't use that at a show. He came at me the week before, so I'm just going to make a little fun of it, come back at him.
Yeah.
But I know that's something I could never use on stage because, you know, it's a little messed up to some people.
Right,
you know?
right.
But it is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
Am I complaining about everyone that calls me fat? No.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That shit's been going on for years.
And listen, you let
That's
us
why
know.
you're a comedian.
Like, exactly, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm with you on that.
I really do not get it.
Yeah,
Like,
and listen, if it's Tyler Hittner that's giving you shit, fuck him, okay? Don't worry about it.
Dude,
No,
I
I'm
will
kidding.
rake him over the
Yeah,
coals.
Yeah, we'll rake him right over his walker. No,
Fuck it.
we
I'll
love
kick his
Tyler.
I know.
We
Oh, I
love
know, I
Tyler.
know.
We bust his balls all the time, but we love him. He fucking
That's
texts
awesome.
me. I'm in the middle of work the other day. He messages me. I'm
Wow.
literally in the middle of a customer meeting
Yeah.
for my day job.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, my friend's in the shop right now," because his family owns the battery shop.
Yeah.
My friend is in the shop right now, and he loves Gilbert Gottfried. Can you call me right now as Gilbert Gottfried? I go, dude, I'm at fucking work. I have a day job just like you.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. He was like, oh, it was worth a shot. But I love Tyler because he takes it.
I've been
He knows we bust his balls because we love him.
he's also.
I've been
he's
using
awesome.
him to open up for me because I've been getting a lot of shows where they're like, oh, we want you to come and do this benefit or do this, and you can bring your opening act. So I'm like, hey, Tyler, you're free? And I've used him like probably 5 or 6 times. And he reaches out to me the other day and he goes, hey, you got anything you can use me on? I'm like, dude, I just used you on 4 things in a row. I go, you know what? Those 3 things I have you on, cancel all of them.
Seriously.
Cancel every single one of them. I'm never using
To
you
quote
again.
John Parada, hey, brother, I'll book a bus stop. If John Parada said that, Tyler would be messaging him 5 minutes later. You got an opener for that?
Hey, somebody
Yeah.
posted, why do curmudgeons go to comedy shows? That is
I
a
know.
great point.
Yeah,
I
Melissa-
don't get
Melissa
it
Day.
either because it happens all the time at comedy shows. Someone
Yo,
comes up to you. I did
Why are you here? Yeah.
Why?
I did
Why
a
bother?
fundraiser one time. Tyler was on the show, and a guy came up to me afterwards. He goes, hey, great show. Thank you so much. You guys raised a ton of money for us tonight. The only thing is my wife was a little upset because, we have a handicapped nephew, and that first guy that went up kind of upset her. And I'm like, you do understand that guy is actually handicapped.
Yeah, he's legitimately uses that walker for real.
He's not.
He had
making-
meningitis as a baby.
He's not making fun of handicapped people.
No, he's making fun
He's
of himself.
talking about
Right.
himself and growing up with a handicap.
She didn't get that. She
But
didn't
people
catch-
project their own insecurities and their own bullshit
And I'm
onto
like-
us.
And I'm
That's
like,
the problem.
I just said to him, I'm sorry, sir, but comics are going to talk about what they know and what they
And that's what
live
he knows.
and what's personal,
Yeah.
and that's what he grew up with.
Yeah.
No, I mean, in my opinion, that's not your place to say anything. You're
Right.
just.
But people
But
feel
we
emboldened.
live in a day where people feel they have the right to do that.
Right.
You're just an ass in the seat. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you can be replaced. Like
yeah.
you're not part of the show.
And if you
Like,
can't take a
unless you
joke
wanna
like that,
act like you're part of the show, and be
But we live-
respectful of all
well,
the comedy.
listen, we did a show 2 weeks ago. He booked it. This one fucking asshole on the side of the stage was dropping, was under his breath, basically shitting on us while we were on stage. So I called him out, and he was like, well, if anyone knew what you were talking about. And I go, how many people know what I'm talking about here? And half the audience raised their hand. Half of them didn't, because I was doing the school cancellation stuff.
Yeah, right.
But half of them go. And like a cocky idiot, he goes, see, I proved my point. No, you didn't. Half the audience knew what I was talking about. And I was going to get to stuff that everyone would know I was talking about if you didn't open your fucking mouth.
interrupt. Yeah,
You know?
You were
And then
setting it
after
up.
the show, he came up to me. He was like, hey, yeah, you really turned it around. You did great. Oh, thanks,
Thanks.
buddy. Like,
Yeah.
I was looking for you.
Yeah,
looking for your approval.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
God you approved.
People-
Yeah,
I
I was
don't-
so glad because the rest of the audience was looking at you like, who's that douchebag on the side of the stage?
People feel entitled today. I have
That's
no
the thing.
idea.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's like, buddy,
Entitled.
can you
It's
get
like-
up here and do better?
yeah.
Why don't you get up here and do better? Tell one joke and see if you get as many laughs as I am. You know?
No, it's
That's
true.
what I
They
should have
don't-
done,
they
but
don't
I'm
know
too
how-
nice.
It's like the
How it
definition
is.
of like a backseat driver. But
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? Like,
Yep.
Well said.
Yeah,
Well
like,
said.
that's exactly what it is.
it's like just-
Someone who's never done it before,
Monday morning
who thinks
quarterbacks.
they're better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, backseat driver, Monday morning quarterbacks, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, that's
So
what it
They're
seems
judging
like.
what we do, and they can't do it.
So what do
No.
you guys? What
Not
are
at
your
all.
some of your goals? Like, you're both new, 6 months, a year in. What are some of your goals? Like, we usually ask about wow moments for people, but what are some things like you
Yeah.
would love to do? whether it's a stage you want to be on, whether it's someone you want to work with, besides us.
But as you're looking forward, we all have set goals for ourselves.
Right. You have to set goals in life.
You have to.
You won't feel fulfilled.
What do you want to see yourself doing next? What's the next big kind of level for you, Kyle?
So I'm doing my first hosting spot coming up. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm very, very excited about that.
You should be.
You should be.
That's a big moment.
It really is.
It is.
I'm trying to get on any show I possibly can. Do new places. Like I'm doing Comedy Connection tomorrow.
Yeah,
awesome. Good for you.
Good.
Comics Roadhouse.
Yeah.
In March and April. Another place in Connecticut. Like I'm just trying to keep going.
As many places,
and get noticed.
Put yourself in front of as many different crowds as possible.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's how you make your material stronger and better.
But here's the key about being a host, because a lot of people don't realize this. Being the host, you are the face of that show that night.
Yep.
So be fun. You definitely want to do your material, but what's more important is being welcoming to that audience,
right,
and making them feel at home. So having fun with them, maybe talking a little bit to the crowd, but not making fun of them. Just have fun.
Yeah,
make it look like you're having fun, because there are plenty of people who get a hosting gig and they just go up and all they're worried about is delivering their material.
No.
That's not the
More
host's
important
job.
than that.
The host's job is to make the audience feel comfortable, throw in some of their material to make them laugh, but really,
you're the host of the party.
Yeah, exactly. That's
you're the host
exactly
of the party
it.
that night.
It's true.
I don't think I've ever been so excited, to be honest. Like I always had stage fright, so doing comedy was like very hard to even try and do it. Like I knew a ton of people that said I was funny. Like graduation show came, I sold 50 tickets, and then I'm thinking, why'd I do that? I'm gonna be up in front of 200 people now.
Yeah.
But it went really well. Like at first, it was funny 'cause when I got up there, I tell a joke like I came up with off the top of my head, because John's like, "Oh, you're headlining, brother." Because I sold the most tickets.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh God, and so I thought they saved the best for last, not the biggest.
Yeah, right.
And then I said that, and it went over well. And then I look at this crowd of 200 people, and I just go, and I got lost in the laughter.
Right. And then you blank.
I took a couple deep breaths, and they thought it was part of my set.
Yep.
And they just laughed, and I was like, "They're here for me. Just calm down." And then it just went over.
And how about you?
After that.
Host is so important. That's the thing. It's such an important spot. It's one of the hardest spots, and if you're very good at it,
you got to bring the crowd back up. If someone doesn't have a good set, you got to bring them back up.
You're setting the stage at the beginning of the show.
Exactly.
You're setting the table for everybody else.
And you want to give each comic a chance. You know what I mean? If that last comic didn't do so well, you got to bring that crowd
You got to bring them back up.
And give that next comic the best chance.
You can make or break the show.
You know?
Make or break show.
How about you, Carol?
For me,
Karen.
Did you say Karen?
I said Karen.
It's all right. He said Karen. It's the
bourbon.
It's the bourbon. Because it's expensive. If it was cheap, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, that's right.
Drink more.
I mean? So, no, for
off.
me, like tomorrow night, I'm actually going to Salem, Mass. Believe it or not.
Are you really?
For Jerry Caruso.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jerry's a great guy.
Yeah. He always says
great guy.
He's been calling me now because they're like, we need an Italian girl. He goes, I got all my family members coming. I told them all about you. I'm like, all right, cool. So for me right now, he's going to give me 15 minutes tomorrow. So that's good.
That's awesome.
The more minutes I get, the better. Like let's be honest. The more practice you get.
It's exactly
like comedy. Because I play tennis a lot. I'm gonna have a tennis play, but for me, I always say comedy is just like a sport. If you don't keep practicing,
you
you're
have
not
to
gonna
practice.
It's like anything else. You got to keep practicing. Like
especially when you're new, you have to practice. Like, listen, if I go 2 or 3 weeks without doing, I might get a little rusty. But if you don't do it, because I've been doing it for 30 years, you know what I mean?
It's like riding a bike for you.
Exactly,
right?
It comes back. But I mean, we've talked about it during the pandemic. Not doing it for a couple of months.
You can see the difference, right?
Yeah, it's a huge difference shaking that rust off.
Oh,
but
live crowd.
Exactly.
So, but eventually, I know Poppy said that Poppy does like these queer queens of comedy.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to get on She does in Florida. Like she just came back
Right.
from Florida.
Yeah, I've been trying to get on that for
I know they
years.
didn't.
Me too.
I know. I mean, you're,
Come on.
You're queer now.
I'm the one.
Like,
I'm the one that constantly gets called a
Oh,
lesbian.
Alexian.
So
I-
come on.
No, yeah, you.
I've
yeah,
been
you
a
know.
lesbian for 30 years.
Yeah, all
and
right.
I cannot get on that show.
Anyway.
So, and but I just have to get. I need to get some gay material jokes out there.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
'cause I mean, you
Exactly.
can't be doing a quick. You know that.
Yeah,
these
right.
people
And
show up
not
for.
talk about it.
Yeah,
Right.
they-
Exactly.
But just like I said, I'm just gonna keep showing up, and the
Yep.
bigger, like you just have to. I mean, even with those comics that you, the Roadhouse,
Yep.
like they'll book you. Like if you tell them, they're pretty cool about it.
Oh, they are.
They don't even have to
Yeah.
see a tape or anything.
Really?
They're like. Because
Yeah.
it's the show's at 10
It's a
o'clock.
is it
It's
a bringer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get paid, but it's
Yeah,
it's at
but as long
10
as you're
o'clock.
bringing the people, and that's why bringer shows
Sure.
happen. And a lot of people shit on bringer shows, but again, what a bringer show does, as much as it might be a pain in the ass trying to find 4 people to go or 6 people to go, the good thing about a bringer show is because everyone is required, you're at least in front of an audience.
Yeah.
Right,
You
and it's
know?
the comics. It's the
Right.
Roadhouse. It's a good backdrop. I mean, it's a good
Exactly.
backdrop.
It's a great place.
I cannot wait to perform there.
Yeah.
It's good stuff there. Yeah.
On 422.
For you, yeah, right.
That's gonna be
All right,
a great
please, I
one.
worked with him once. I walked by his car.
Really?
I walked by your car. I could smell it coming out, and his
That
windows
was
were
the-
It was
closed.
a little
That was that's
he
so
was
funny.
I swear to
You
God, I
walk
think
by
it's.
his car and you're like, I'm hungry. I don't know.
I don't know why. I'm going, brother. I'm going to New York Systems for wieners right now. I don't know why.
He's booking the show in a couple of weeks. Him and
I
Mike
know.
Murray.
Or if there was
Wieners.
ever 2 people who were going to book a show at New York Systems Wieners, it's Mike Murray and John
Yeah,
And they're
Parada.
getting
So
paid
funny.
in wieners.
And they get yeah, right.
And I think 2 all the way is
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah,
I
there
call
ain't 2 all the
bullshit.
way. Maybe
Yeah.
2 arms all
Yeah.
the way.
yeah, it's not just 2.
Not just 2. I was like, they
That's
could
funny.
change that up a little. Just
Yeah.
So no. So before we wrap up,
yeah.
we
Should
always
we ask?
Yeah, we might as well, because honestly, we've said it. Anyone who's been doing comedy for more than 6 months or more than a couple of months has had that funny bad gig, and that's the gig that the night you were doing it, it wasn't funny.
Not funny at all.
It just wasn't going well. It was like it was shitty for everyone, or it was shitty for you. But the further away you get from it, and you start
forget it.
telling stories like in the green room, like you go up to Kyle and you go, "Oh my God, Kyle, I did this show last week. You're not going to believe what happened."
Or Kyle's telling you his bad gig story and you go, oh, yeah?
I got one.
So you have one? Really?
And not to put you on the
No,
spot,
no,
if
no,
you
no,
don't
I-
have one yet, then
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But
Don't worry, Kat. You're gonna.
yeah,
Don't
No,
have one yet?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm
the
sure
trauma may be too soon.
No, I'm
Yeah.
sure. When we all have nights that we were like, "Oh, that crowd was awesome," because we always say there's 2 types of crowds, right? That
Right.
people that just come in to laugh. They're only half.
They're
of the
there to
bottle,
have a good time.
right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then there's other crowd that'd be like, "What do you got? What are you gonna
Right.
do to make me laugh?"
Right.
And I mean, we obviously like the people that they're out.
But
it's a
have
Friday
you-
night.
Well,
Have you-
that's the best part about New England crowds. They're going to make you better because if you're not good, they tell you you're not good.
yeah, that's true. Rhode Island's blunt.
But have you been in a
situation
situation where you're like, why are they doing comedy here? This isn't the right place for comedy. Like
We're like the sports bar that won't turn off the TVs
during the playoffs. Or you get to the show and they go, hey, by the way, it's a surprise. No one knows there's a comic coming. Or there's kids in the front, or,
just
like,
the bad situations that they put comedy shows.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you may not have had those yet
Well,
because you've
I
been doing
remember
mostly open mics.
New
You
Year's,
might because you've been
You-
doing it a little longer. You might not.
New Year's, there was a little girl in the audience, and she was like 6
Really?
years old.
6.
Six
There
years
you go.
old. Why would they bring
A 6-year-old to
for
a New
New
Year's
Year's Eve.
comedy show, right?
right? And they're like, "Cat, don't even mention it. Don't
Yeah.
even bring your attention to it." Because like, what are you gonna do? Not swear because of the little girl? Like,
Yeah, right, right.
Just don't even,
Hey, little girl, what do you do?
Doing-
Walk up and down Atwells Avenue eating
Yeah.
paste?
Eating paste. Still one of the best.
I said that. We had John on one time. And he goes, hey, brother, I had to do a show with kids. I said, what the hell did you do? What'd you go? Hey, what do you do, kid? What are you in kindergarten?
What do you do?
What do you walk up and down Atwells Avenue eating paste? He lost it.
It's definitely a parada.
That's a parada gig, right? Yeah. No, but have you been in a situation where you're like, why are they doing comedy here? Like, why?
Probably the one that I can think of was it was this little place called like the Penny Bar, you know, and it was a Johnny Rotten show, which, you know, we get shows wherever we can. He's one of my good pals.
Right. I love Johnny too.
like-
And
He's a good
yeah,
guy.
it's
He's a
hit or
good guy.
miss.
He's a good guy.
Different venues are hit or miss. Right.
And
yeah.
and that one, it was just kind of like trying to get in between clenched ass cheeks. Like, it was such a small fucking
Oh,
place.
really?
It's like, why? You
Yeah.
can fit maybe 10 people in here. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, right.
So-
it makes the Bean Barn look like an amphitheater. Right?
So I was
great
like,
reference.
Hey, and by the way, I eat at the Bean Barn all the time. It's right here
Oh,
in
yeah, it's
town.
right
I
there.
love
It's at
Bean
Bean Barn.
Barn.
no, the Bean
Yeah.
Barn's
But
awesome.
but
It's a
Bean
nice
Barn
place.
fits like what, 50, 60 people tops?
You can
Dude,
hear
that's
when
a-
you're, when you're
pack
up there,
the
though, you
place.
can-
Right, right.
But I mean, I'm like I said, I'll do anywhere. I'll
Yeah.
take any shows that I can get.
That you can
and,
get, right.
But it just seemed to me that it was just a kind of weird spot, and there was like a buffet and stuff, and I'm like,
Buffet for 10 people.
I was like, I don't know really how there's gonna be a buffet, like,
Right.
And how many people, like,
Yeah.
it was just very, very odd to me, and it was so funny too, because, you know, Rotten's got this nice flag, you know, Rotten Minds, that he's gonna hang up,
Yep.
fucking tied up by bootlaces. So,
Listen, we've all had those shows
Exactly.
where it's, you know, it's a new place. It's
And-
yeah, I've talked about it. Where Boomerangs is now,
yeah,
years and years ago, used to be called Dana's Lounge
Oh.
in West Warwick. And Dave DiLorenzo, God rest his soul,
Love Dave.
booked me for it. And we get there, and the sound system was a guitar amplifier sitting on a chair.
That's a Dave
with
gig.
a
That's a Dave
with
gig.
a 6-foot mic'd cord, so you couldn't even walk around. You literally had to just stand there, and it was horrible. It was in front of like 20 people, and I'm like, "This is comedy. I made it." And then he moved over to the stadium, which is now Ted's Stadium Pub or something like that.
Yep.
It's on Reservoir Ave in
Yeah,
Cranston.
yeah.
He used to do it same guitar amplifier with the 3-foot mic cord, and you know. But you know what? Those shows help you grow.
No, it's
They
true.
do.
You know what I mean?
Like
They-
even Boomerangs, like when you go, like the stages, it's on a cinder block.
Yeah,
And I'm
right.
Like,
know.
Yeah,
I'm like,
We
I'm
know.
a pacer. I can't stay on this
that's
thing.
yeah.
Right.
I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna fall off.
but then if you get off, you're
And-
out of the
but
light, right?
But I'm like, 2 feet. To,
I take one
like,
step to the
from
right,
like-
and I'm Steven Tyler.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
like, boom,
right? Yeah,
falling
you're-
off the stage.
Ass over tea kettle off the back of the stage, right?
It's
Exactly.
like, don't even have a stage.
I'd rather
Like,
stand on the
named up
fucking bar at that point, you know?
Yeah.
I did a contest one
Yeah.
time where it was a small piece of plywood on top of milk crates in front of a cigarette machine.
Wow. They had that. You didn't even have the cigarette machines back then.
It was in front
Oh,
of
yeah.
a cigarette machine, and one of the guys was up there doing a set. Now it's a contest, so we're being judged.
Yeah.
And one of the guys at the bar, and again, the people, Ace mentioned the surprise show.
Yeah.
The people at the bar didn't know there was going to be a show that night. And
Wow.
it's a
That's always fun.
contest. And one of the people at the bar goes up to get a pack of cigarettes, and he puts his money in, and he can't reach the one
'Cause the
he
comic's
wants to
on the
get,
way-
'cause
in the way.
comic's in his way. So he taps the comic in the middle of his set and goes, "Can you pull Marlboros for me?"
That's awesome.
And the comic has to turn around and pull the big lever.
So imagine
for
those
Marlboros.
are the kind of shows
Shows.
that you
So-
can look forward to.
So, yeah,
because
it
it'll
happens.
happen. You'll
Yeah.
get those shows.
I
you
mean,
know
it's just life. Life happens. so.
exactly.
I mean, some great stuff came out of that Penny Bar show. You know,
Yeah.
Like
Of
the
course.
the next night that was that show that we performed at the comedy
At the
Park.
comedy park, and you had a great set.
I got invited back to the Penny Bar for a
See?
free
Yeah.
drink from one of the girls.
Oh,
And,
really?
She's like, "Yeah, I want to come by for a free drink before your show tonight." I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
okay.
awesome.
I'm like, I'm not going to turn that down.
Yeah.
I go over there and they're, beer glasses, halfway
Yeah.
with
It's like
alcohol,
25.
halfway. I'm like, she's like, "Oh, most people here, I feel like, do it wrong. They put 80 and 20, 80
Yeah, yeah,
alcohol,
yeah,
20. I'm like, she's like, "So I do 50-50. I'm like, either way,
Okay.
I think that's a bit much. But
Yeah.
3 drinks later, there I am.
Yeah.
And I'm
Showing
like,
up at
I
the
gotta
comedy
go to-
park.
I was like,
Yeah.
I gotta go to. That's why when you walked by my car, I had to even myself out a little bit. I never smoke. I never.
Oh, really?
Never smoke before I go on stage.
Oh,
No,
before.
That's because I've blanked. I've
Oh,
done
yeah.
it. I
Oh,
smoked
yeah.
too much during
Yeah,
the
you
day
blank
before,
out.
and then I blanked out. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. And then 3 drinks, and I'm like about to walk in there, and I'm like, I need to take a couple to a few hits to even
Right.
myself out.
Just to even himself out. And then Ace is walking by with his little trumpet.
That's so funny that you
awesome.
said that, because that was the one time I parked right in front of the comedy park.
Right in front of the comedy
Just
park
smoking up.
and
Yeah.
smoke is billowing out of his car.
It looks like a Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, that's what I said. It was almost like the fucking van that, in Up in Smoke.
And then who pops out? The biggest fucking guy ever.
Do you have your license? Isn't it on the bumper in the back?
It was just
Yeah.
so. It was
That
too
was so
funny.
funny.
So, Kyle, what can we promote for you? Got social
Yeah.
media, website, anything like that?
Yeah, so I mean, I do Facebook the most. I have Facebook, Instagram.
What's your Facebook handle?
Kyle
Kyle
Cote,
Cote.
Cote.
Yep, COTE.
So check him out.
And I'll put that in the show notes for anybody that's listening tonight.
Yep.
Go to the show notes and you can check. I'll have a link to Kyle's Facebook and
Yep, same thing. Instagram, Caren, Lioce.
Caren with a C.
Caren with the C, Lioce, and my schedule's on for the month of up until March is on Facebook as well.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll put links to
So
both
go
of them
to them.
in the show notes. Make sure you check them out. They are
Yeah.
great comics. Ace has worked with both of them. Unfortunately, Caren, I haven't worked with
I
you
just
yet.
rubbed your head. That was the
I know you were rubbing his head upstairs. He got excited.
That was my introduction.
Which
I'm
head were
sorry.
you rubbing?
I've been married for 32
I know.
years. That was the most action I've had in a
Okay.
while. I'm very excited.
Was that
Yeah.
a good intro? I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, that was good. You made a good impression.
That
You
was
made a good impression.
fantastic.
I wanted to be-
You'll be headlining by next week on one of his shows, by the way.
She's a lesbian, so she rubbed that head, of course.
Are you kidding?
Wrong head. No.
She is booked to do Act 1 and Act 2 at the next Bradley show.
There you go. There you go.
That was fantastic. But
That
no,
was
thank you
awesome.
guys so much.
Thank you for
guys
having
were-
us.
Yeah,
you guys were great
seriously.
guests.
We loved having you. We had a bunch of people saying hi. Dave McCormick call me sometime when you have no class.
Oh, I tell you.
Dave McCormick is a guy that started at Periwinkle's years ago when I started,
Yeah.
and he's a physician's assistant. And
I know
I
who
used
he
to
is,
call
yeah.
on him, and for years he's like, "Oh man, I want to get back into it." Blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
Now he's been showing up
Yep,
at the Pump House,
He did a
and he's been
he
doing
brought like
sets.
over 80 people that night.
That's what I heard.
It was
yeah.
unbelievable. Poppy was like
So
loving it.
he-
Wow,
He's,
you sound just like
yeah.
John Perrotta.
He's great. Debbie DiBiasio said, "Wow, you sound just like John Perrotta."
Debbie tried a chicken palm.
Yeah, hey. And then Real Deal Fitness and Conditioning, our buddy. What's his first name? What's his real name?
Yeah. He was,
Real Deal.
Is it-
Yeah, I don't know. He was a wrestler and he's
He
into
is.
wrestling.
Isn't it Joe?
Yeah, he
he's
goes.
like that Zeke
Joe
Cavarici guy.
Yeah.
He's
He goes, great show. 2 awesome guests. Love Caren,
that's-
Lioce, and
that's
Kyle
so nice.
Cote.
Thank you.
Keep on the good work behind the funny. And
He's a good guy.
yeah,
So
and then we
kind.
got someone trying to get us to sign up with them to promote the podcast.
fuck yourself.
People just pop in and they're like, "Hey, I can help you promote for $1,400," but we don't have that. So no, listen, folks, we hope you enjoyed tonight's show. It was awesome having new comics on to talk about what it's like and how you came up, and we'll definitely have you on again. We have panel shows all the time where we talk about different topics, and we like to have a mix of newer comics and seasoned comics. So we'll definitely get you back on. But we hope you guys enjoyed it. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done a live, and look, I mean, we got 15 likes on it. John Perrotta loved us because he was watching for a little while. So, folks, we hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Please check us out. We've got great guests coming up, as we usually do. I'm working on getting Tyler Bowe, who's blown up nationally. He's on TikTok. He's on Reels. But we worked with him when he was doing the Killingly fucking Fire Department or whatever the hell that was. That show we did together years ago, right?
Back in the day.
We're working on Eddie Clark, who just recently
he announced his retirement.
He's been a headliner all up and down the East Coast for years. Just announced his retirement.
Yeah.
So we're working on a lot of folks. And I'd love to get Tom Dustin on. I know I reached out to him once a couple of years ago, but I got to reach out to him again. I got to reach out
to him too.
He's the comic that was on stage when they asked to pull for the Marlboros. But he's down in Key West.
He won the contest too that time.
He's down in Key West, Florida now. I
got to reach out to Tom because him and I started together, and amazingly funny comic.
But listen, folks, we hope you're enjoying the show. We hope you're enjoying it, and we're going to keep on doing this. We'll keep doing the lives, and we'll also, obviously, we're on all of the podcast platforms.
Wherever you download your podcast, please check us out.
Wherever. And
take a moment to give us that 5-star review.
Yes, it's been a couple of weeks since we've gotten a 5-star written review. We'd appreciate it. That really helps more people find us. And, we might as well say the thing that you sent me yesterday, we're really, really honored. So what is the name of the site? FeedSpot. And so what they do is they listen to podcasts and they rank podcasts, and they have put Behind the Funny on their list of the top 60 comedian podcasts to listen to in 2023. And, we would have been happy being number 60. We were number 27.
Yeah, I would be happy to just be on the list.
On the list, we're happy. But we're in the top 50% of that list, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but we were ranked pretty good. There were some people below us that I was like, holy shit, and I'm
maybe
not
I'll put the
names.
link in the show notes. And
yeah,
you guys can
so
look
you can
for
see.
Yourself. But
and then you could go, these two fucking clowns are better than this? No.
These guys that are in Ace's basement?
Yeah, right? They're in the basement, and this guy's got a real show.
But that's because of you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody that tunes in, everybody that listens, and we're going to continue to bust our ass to give you amazing guests.
Yep. Both known and unknown. All of that
exactly. We're just going to try to bring you interesting content. That's all we're going to try to do.
That was our goal from day one.
Exactly. And we have a lot of fun doing it, and hopefully you guys can tell. And if you really like it, go to the show notes, and in there's a link for Buy Me a Coffee.
Which is really Buy Me a Bourbon.
Which for us is Buy Me a Bourbon. You can give us a quick one-time donation that will kind of reimburse us for...
Go to the Bourbon Fund.
The Bourbon Fund.
Yeah, absolutely. We used to have the magical beer fridge, but somehow we switched to bourbon, and that's more expensive.
Yeah, we upped our game.
Go to Buy Me a Coffee.
So Buy Me a Coffee, which is really bourbon. We're just being honest with you.
Exactly. We're always going to be honest with our audience.
Expensive bourbon, though, not the cheap
No, not the cheap shit.
That's a problem. That's why we had to go ask for donations.
That's right.
We don't go for cheap shit. So I guess...
So thank you again, Caren and Kyle. We really loved having you on. And other than that, we will talk to you
next week. Peace, everyone. Peace.